Bhavukaha, expert and thoughtful. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desire tree of Vedic literatures. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful, although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls. In the previous two shlokas, in the two previous shlokas, it has been definitely proved that the Srimad Bhagavatam is a sublime literature which surpasses all other Vedic scriptures due to its transcendental qualities. It is transcendental to all mundane activities and mundane knowledge. In this shloka, it is stated that Srimad Bhagavatam is not only a superior literature, but it is the ripened fruit of all Vedic literatures. In other words, it is the cream of all Vedic knowledge. Considering all this, Considering all this, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. With great respect and attention, one should receive the message and lessons imparted by the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Vedas are compared to the desire tree because they contain all things knowable by man. They deal with mundane necessities as well as spiritual realization. The Vedas contain regulated principles of knowledge covering social, political, religious, economic, military, medicinal, chemical, physical, and metaphysical subject matter, and all that may be necessary to keep the body and soul together. Above and beyond, all these are specific directions for spiritual realization. Regulated knowledge involves a gradual raising of the living entity to the spiritual platform. And the highest spiritual realization is knowledge that this personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all spiritual tastes or rasas. Every living entity, beginning from Brahma, the first born living being within the material world, down to the insignificant ant, desires to relish some sort of taste derived from sense perceptions. These sensual pleasures are technically called rasas. Such rasas are of different varieties. In the revealed scriptures, the following 12 varieties of rasas are enumerated: Raudra, anger; Adbhuta, wonder; Shringara, conjugal love; Hasya, comedy; Veera, chivalry; Daya, mercy; Dasya, servitorship; Sakhya, fraternity; Bhayanaka, horror; Bhibatsa, shock; Shanta, neutrality; Vatsalya, parenthood. The sum total of all these rasas is called affection or love. Primarily, such signs of love are manifested in adoration, service, friendship, paternal affection, and conjugal love. And when these five are absent, love is present. And when these five are absent, love is present indirectly in anger, wonder, comedy, chivalry, fear, shock, and so on. For example, when a man is in love with a woman, the rasa is called conjugal love. But when such love affairs are disturbed, there may be wonder, anger, shock, or even horror. Sometimes love affairs between two persons culminate in ghastly murder scenes. Such rasas are displayed between man and between animal and animal. There is no possibility of an exchange or rasa between a man and an animal or between a man and any other species of living beings within the material world. The rasas are exchanged between members of the same species. But as far as the spirit souls are concerned, they are one qualitatively with the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the rasas were originally exchanged between the spiritual loving being and spiritual whole, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The spiritual exchange or rasa is fully exhibited in spiritual existence between living beings and the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is therefore described in the Shruti mantras, Vedic hymns, as the fountainhead of all rasas. When one associates with the Supreme Lord and exchanges one's constitutional rasa with the Lord, then the living being is actually happy. These Shruti mantras indicate that every living being has its constitutional position, which is endowed with a particular type of rasa to be exchanged with the personality of Godhead. In the liberated condition only, this primary rasa is experienced in full in the material existence. The rasa is experienced in the perverted form, which is temporary, and thus the rasas of the material world are exhibited in the material form of Raudra, anger, and so on. Therefore, one who attains full knowledge of these different rasas, which are basic principles of activities, can understand the false representations of the original rasas, which are reflected in the material world. The learned scholar seeks to relish the real rasa in the spiritual form. In the beginning, the desires to become one with the Supreme. In the beginning, he desires to become one with the Supreme. Thus, less intelligent transcendentalists cannot go beyond this conception of becoming one with the spirit whole, without knowing of the different rasas. In this shloka, it is definitely stated that the spiritual rasa, which is relished even in the liberated stage, can be experienced in the literature of the Srimad Bhagavatam due to its being ripened, due to its being the ripened fruit of all Vedic knowledge. By submissively hearing this transcendental literature, one can attain the full pleasure of his heart's desire. But one must be very careful to hear the message from the right source. Srimad Bhagavatam is exactly received from the right source. It was brought by Narada Muni from the spiritual world and given to his disciple Srila Vyasadeva. The latter, the latter in turn delivered the message to his son, Srila Sukadeva Goswami. And Srila Sukadeva Goswami delivered the message to Maharaj Parikshit just 7 days before the king's death. Srila Sukadeva Goswami was a liberated soul from his very birth. He was liberated even in the womb of his mother, and he did not undergo any sort of spiritual training after his birth. At birth, no one is qualified neither in the mundane nor in the spiritual sense. But Srila Sukadeva Goswami, due to his being a perfectly liberated soul, did not have to undergo an evolutionary process for spiritual realization. Yet, despite his being a completely liberated person situated in the transcendental position, above the three material modes, he was attracted to this transcendental rasa of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is adored by liberated souls who sing Vedic hymns. The Supreme Lord's pastimes are even more attractive to liberated souls than to mundane people. He is of necessity not impersonal because it is only possible to carry on transcendental rasa with the person. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the transcendental pastimes of the Lord are narrated, and the narration is systematically depicted by Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Thus, the subject matter is appealing to all classes of persons, including those who seek liberation and those who seek to become one with the Supreme Whole. In Sanskrit, the parrot is also known as shuka. When a ripened fruit is cut by the red beaks of such birds, its sweet flavor is enhanced. The Vedic fruit, which is mature and ripe in knowledge, is spoken through the lips of Srila Sukadeva Goswami. He is compared to the parrot not for his ability to recite the Bhagavatam exactly as he heard it from his learned father, but for his ability to present the work in a manner that would appeal to all classes of men. The subject matter is so presented through the lips of Srila Sukadeva Goswami that any sincere listener that hears submissively can at once relish transcendental tastes, which are distinct from the perverted tastes of the material world. The ripened fruit is not dropped all of a sudden from the highest planet of Krishna Loka. Rather, it has come down carefully through the chain of disciplic succession, without change or disturbance. Foolish people who are not in the transcendental disciplic succession commit great blunders by trying to understand the highest transcendental rasa known as the rasa dance, without following in the footsteps of Sukadeva Goswami, who presents this fruit very carefully by stages of transcendental realization. One should be intelligent enough to know the position of Srimad Bhagavatam by considering the personalities like Sukadeva Goswami, who deals with the subject so carefully. This process of disciplic succession of the Bhagavata school suggests that in future also Srimad Bhagavatam has to be understood from a person who is factually a representative of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. A professional man who makes a business out of reciting the Bhagavatam illegally is certainly not a representative of Sukadeva Goswami. Such, such a man's business is only to earn his livelihood. Therefore, one should refrain from hearing the lectures of such professional men. Such men usually go to the most confidential part of the literature without undergoing the gradual process of understanding this grave subject. They usually plunge into the subject matter of the rasa dance, which is misunderstood by the foolish class of men. Some of them take this to be immoral, while others try to cover it up by their own stupid interpretations. They have no desire to follow in the footsteps of Srila Sukadeva Goswami. One should conclude, therefore, that the serious student of the rasa should receive the message of Bhagavatam in the chain of disciplic succession from Srila Sukadeva Goswami, who describes the Bhagavatam from its very beginning and not whimsically to satisfy the mundaner who has very little knowledge in transcendental science. Srimad Bhagavatam is so carefully presented that a sincere and serious person can at once enjoy the ripened fruit of Vedic knowledge simply by drinking the nectarian juice through the mouth of Sukadeva Goswami or his bona fide representative. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much for filling the spot. Yeah. I mean, this is I mean, like, it's just between us, like, we are the only person available here. But this is a wonderful verse, especially when you read about the primary rasa, the secondary rasa, and knowing the position of Srimad Bhagavatam, and the consequences of not knowing the actual position and trying to read, endeavor on our own and try to misunderstand creates lot of havoc.
Hmm.
Especially in this world, like in the present situation also, like we all need some sort of a guided approach, guided workflow, job aids,
Correct.
assistant, and all those things. And how can we expect that higher source, that thing that is that Vedic knowledge, which is beyond our material conception, to be on our own? Like that is something that we should understand and take the shelter of authorized bona fide representatives, Prabhu. That's my, no, that's been well captured and by Srila Prabhupada in explicitly saying that. Thank you for reading that, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I was just echoing what you said. I was, as that para, I was reading that para, I was kind of reflecting on how Srimad Bhagavatam in that sense is similar to Ganga, that like both are very pure, but when Ganga was descending from the higher planets to the earthly planet, like everyone, like Bhagirath was told that Earth will not be able to tolerate the speed with which Ganga will descend. So somebody like Lord Shiva, who knows how to understand and like kind of control Ganga, held it and then released as much is needed for the earth. So similarly, the disciplic succession, like somebody might say, oh, if Bhagavatam is like the pure, why can't I directly approach Bhagavatam and just read it? But with the force with which Bhagavatam comes, will not be able to even kind of understand, let alone grasp it and then fully receive it fully. So somebody like Lord Shiva, kind of expansion, like representatives of Lord Shiva, the Guru Parampara, are needed for us to kind of where they capture the whole of Srimad Bhagavatam in its full form. And then as much as our capability, they kind of give us this, keep releasing us in the form of commentaries and classes and whatnot. So
Exactly.
yeah, it's amazing. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for joining. So,
Thank you.
yes, I don't. Yeah, I'm sure. Like if we kind of sit through, there are a lot of points that we could discuss, but
So,
yeah,
yeah.
I also have to join a call, so I think we'll
Sure.
end it here.
Thank you very much, brother. Hare Krishna.